We're almost through the month-long Clear the Air Challenge. This year and most of 2020, many in the city, including myself, found ways to drive down our miles by working from home. But did you know that there are other ways to help clear the air all throughout the year? We get details on this week's episode of Capital City News. We'll also hear from Debbie Lyons, Deputy Director of Salt Lake City Sustainability Department, about the impacts to air quality since the COVID-19 pandemic hit here in Utah. And our History Minute is about Booker T. Washington, one of the most influential educators, authors, and civil rights activists, and his visit to Salt Lake City. Let's get started with our legislative update and look back.
At its February 16th meeting, the City Council awarded $7.1 million in Federal CARES Act money to community partners and city departments, received informational updates about topics ranging from COVID-19 response and equity in policing to affordable housing and more, received briefings on various rezoning projects and other plans, and approved appointments of a number of board members to city boards and commissions. To learn more, visit slc.gov/council. With new, more infectious strains of COVID hitting Utah and our efforts to keep the virus at bay working, it's important to continue following the most recent CDC guidelines regarding masks. They suggest that you wear a disposable mask beneath your layered cloth mask for the best protection. And be sure to wear these masks anytime you leave your home, whether that's to the store or on the sidewalk. Do your part to defeat the virus.
During the winter inversions, pollutants from cars, wood burning, and other sources become trapped in the valley. As a result, air pollutants accumulate and can cause health issues for residents. Help clear the air by skipping the car altogether, walking, biking, or using public transit. If you do have to drive, help by trip chaining and remembering to be idle-free. Working from home? Try switching to electric snowblowers, weatherizing your home to save energy, and even turning down the thermostat. Although the Clear the Air Challenge is nearing the end, this doesn't mean we have to stop there. Help clear the air all year long. To learn more, visit slcgreen.com.
Salt Lake City has been learning to deal with the challenges of a growing population. But COVID-19 has rapidly changed all of our lives in profound ways, both in terms of health and economic effects. Clearly, the economic effects of COVID have only just begun, but will be long-lasting for businesses, residents, and government, which relies on tax revenue from businesses and residents. During this normal for now, the city is still prioritizing our critical public service by creating more affordable housing options, providing safer neighborhoods, and connecting residents and businesses to better transit and improved streets. We can ensure that our capital city is more equitable, environmentally friendly, and can grow economic opportunities for everyone.
Back in 2020, many people in the city started working from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This meant less cars on the road, more mileage and money saved, and overall, cleaner air. Here we are today, but what's next? Debbie Lyons, Deputy Director for Salt Lake City Sustainability Department, fills us in.
For sustainability, we work on everything from air quality, energy, climate change. We also work on food security and waste and recycling. Due to COVID, we've seen a lot more people working from home, and that in turn has resulted in less traffic on our streets and less people driving their cars. Cars make up 50% of the air pollution that we see in the wintertime. And so that has had a great impact on reducing air pollution in our valley.
What can residents do to sort of keep up those habits? I mean, aside from begging their employers to let them work from home more.
People who are working from home, I think we're seeing it's very productive and it's doable. And I think we'll see a lot more employers working with employees to keep this teleworking option open for people. And that will help reduce air pollution from our transportation costs. But there are a number of things that people can do while they're at home working, including, our homes and buildings make up 40% of the air pollution in the wintertime. So things like turning down your thermostat and avoiding burning wood and not idling your car also have big impacts on reducing air pollution during the winter.
This month is the Clear the Air Challenge. Can you tell me about that and tell me how people can get involved in that and why we still need to do more, even though the air seems pretty clean this year?
Yeah, the Clear the Air Challenge, we're in the 12th year of this annual challenge. And what it is, it's a call out to people to rethink how they're traveling across the valley, whether they're going to work or running errands, and looking at whether they need to make trips or if they can trip chain or run their errands by walking or biking. And so just really rethinking how we're getting around town. And so the Clear the Air Challenge is a month-long challenge. There's a website, cleartheairchallenge.org, where people can sign up and they can track their trips, including those trips they're avoiding by teleworking.
What sort of steps is the city taking as a government, as a large employer, to mitigate some of these things ourselves, other than just allowing more telework?
So the mayor and the council recently adopted a joint resolution that made pretty significant commitments to transitioning our own fleet to more electric vehicles. And electric vehicles don't have direct tailpipe emissions, and so that will help tremendously in cleaning up our air. In that joint resolution, we've also committed to working with our partners at UTA and UDOT to electrify transportation routes throughout the state so that people can feel comfortable buying electric cars, using electric cars, and cleaning up our air.
I know this might seem like an obvious question, but why is it important for us to clear our air?
Well, air pollution has been linked with asthma and cardiovascular disease. It's also been linked with depression and obesity, and nobody wants to go outside when the air looks dirty and exercise. So it's important to clear the air during the wintertime when we see the inversions and we see the particulate matter. It's also important to keep these habits up during the summer, because in the summer we have an ozone issue where the ozone actually, when it gets into your lungs, it burns your lungs and causes some of these same problems. So these habits that we are encouraging through Clear the Air Challenge are ones that we want to encourage all year long.
For residents in the area who want to do more to help clear the air and maybe even join the Clear the Air Challenge, where do they go to sign up and get more information?
So residents can visit our website at slcgreen.com, and we have a lot of information on what you can do both at home and in your transportation to reduce air pollution. They can also sign up for the Clear the Air Challenge at cleartheairchallenge.org, and there are a number of other useful tips on that website on how you can reduce your air pollution from transportation.
Next up is our History Minute.
Born into slavery in 1856, Booker T. Washington was freed at the age of 9 by the Emancipation Proclamation. He worked his way through college, first for agriculture and then a seminary, before taking a post as the first leader of the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, a college dedicated to the higher education of Black Americans. He became renowned around the country for the books he wrote and the speeches he gave. As president in 1901, Theodore Roosevelt even asked Washington to dinner at the White House and consulted with Washington often during his tenure. In March of 1913, Washington was invited to come spend 2 days in Salt Lake City to speak. Despite his sterling reputation, his existence as a black man meant that he was disallowed from staying at the Hotel Utah, where the most notable of visiting dignitaries stayed. During his stay, however, he met with local leaders and educators and gave speeches at the University of Utah and to the black community. The speech at the University of Utah was the biggest he gave. He spoke of his upbringing as a slave and his work in education. Afterward, he wrote an article in New York Age, one of the most prominent black newspapers of the time, how inspired he was by his visit. "It's been my privilege to address schools and universities in nearly every part of America," he wrote, "and I say without hesitation that I have never addressed a college anywhere where the students were more alert, more responsive, more intelligent than is true of the students in these Mormon colleges." Washington passed away just 2 years later at the age of 59, his influence on the education of Black Americans leaving an indelible mark still felt in the country.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Capital City News. Tune in next time to stay up to date on the latest. Until then, you can follow us at SLC Gov on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or you can also visit slc.gov to learn more. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time. For SLC TV, I'm Poonam Kumar.